This is going to be the most controversial video I have ever made. Probably the most dislikes ever I've made, I've witnessed. So if you get triggered easily, please don't watch this. It will not be good for your health. So let me drop the first bomb on you. The reason why you're not getting enjoyment from social interactions, the reason why you might think, is because I have a stutter, right? I have a stutter. I can't enjoy social interactions if I stutter. First bomb is that's bullshit. That's not why. And you might come back to me and say, you know what, let me relate to you a little bit here. If I was back 3 years and I heard this when I had a stutter, I'd fucking hate this guy. I'd be like, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. When I'm fluent, when I have a better stuttering day, I get more enjoyment from social interactions. That's what I would say. That has some truth to it, but most of it is bullshit. I'll tell you why. So let me ask you a question. How can someone without a stutter not enjoy an interaction? No, let me rephrase that. How can someone without a stutter get enjoyment from interaction? Get enjoyment from interactions? What would have to happen? And enjoyment means like feel good, right? We can agree on that. So how do you feel good? Good emotions. Feel good emotions. We can agree on that. So what has to happen in an interaction to get good emotions? I thought about this solidly for a solid half an hour, thinking all the possibilities that could happen in an interaction that would arise good emotions. And I've had lots of interactions, lots of good emotions, and I've spilt it all out, but it really only came back to 3 things that really encompassed everything. And it's you either taught something to someone, makes me feel good. You either learned something from someone, makes me feel more empowered. Or you related to someone or something. Relatability feels so fucking good. And what all these 3 things have in common is it requires connection. And before I come back and tell you how it requires connection, let me explain to you how you would get connection, how you would be able to receive connection. And the one thing, the most important thing for connection is vulnerability. You cannot have connection without vulnerability. It's impossible. What's the opposite of vulnerability? The opposite of vulnerability is wearing a mask, hiding away, being inauthentic. Connection requires vulnerability. You cannot be fake and wear a mask and feel connection. Just like you can't be fake and wear a mask and show true vulnerability. It has to come from the core. Once you strip past those layers and show your true self, that's where the true feelings of connection, all those 3 things that get enjoyment from social interaction, come from. And chances are, if you're not getting enjoyment from social interactions, it's for one, you are wearing a mask and you don't want to show your true self. Or 2, you don't like yourself, so you hide away, which is also wearing a mask, not showing your true self. You are not being vulnerable enough to enjoy the interaction. But you might say, I stutter. That's vulnerability. Yeah, but what happens after you stutter? Do you open up into a sea of fucking vulnerability and enjoy that feeling of vulnerability when you stutter? Or after every time you stutter, do you get a little tense? Do you close up a little? Do you maybe not open up as much next time? Do you maybe not try the same words as next time? People with stutters and people without stutters share the same core principle for social interaction, to enjoy social interaction. It doesn't differ. It's ingrained in you. It's in your DNA. So I just want to make that clear. But again, you still might ask, like, you didn't answer my fucking question, dickhead. What about when I do stutter less? What about those days? I get more enjoyment from social interaction, so it's clearly my fucking stutter. But then, if you say that, like, fucking good comeback, like, that's strong, that's what I would say too. But I would ask you what the difference is besides your stutter. What changed from when you were stuttering versus now, when you're on a better stuttering day? Why are you getting more enjoyment? And you'd say, because I'm stuttering less. But what changed about your actions? What changes now that you're stuttering less? Well, like the willingness to express. You're more expressive. You say the things you want to say. The willingness to share. The willingness to talk. It's more, you're more willing to do that now that you don't have a stutter. So it's going to make you happier. Your willingness to be more yourself. The willingness to be more fucking authentic to you. The willingness to be more open. The willingness to be more vulnerable. All those things that form connection. And for you, it only happens when you're stuttering less that day. And it doesn't have to fucking be like that. You can still be open and vulnerable and express and share when you are on a bad stuttering day. So the reason why you're not getting enjoyment is not because you're fucking stuttering. It doesn't work like that. You can be expressive. You can be yourself. You can be authentic. You can be open. You can be vulnerable even when you're stuttering. All it comes down to is you have to know you're fucking worth it. That's it. Your self-esteem has to be high enough to know you're fucking worth expressing yourself when you are stuttering. Just because the other fucking person doesn't have a stutter doesn't mean you're lower than them. That's fucking horseshit. You guys are at least the same. Bare minimum. If you want to put yourself a bit higher, fuck it, do that. But you are not lower than them because you have a stutter. That is horseshit. You have to know you are worth it. That's all it comes down to. The reason why you get more enjoyment when you're stuttering less is because you feel like when you stutter less, you're worth it more. You're worth more. Your value goes up. But you have the same fucking amount of value regardless on how your speech is that day. You have to know that. Your value doesn't change based on if you're stuttering more or if you're stuttering less. All you have to do is wear that vulnerability, because that's what makes connection, right? We have that clear now. You have to wear that vulnerability that I agreed it is stuttering is a vulnerability, but only if you allow it to be. It could be a fucking depressant if you allow it to be. Wear your stutter as a fucking vulnerability cape to your superhero strength, that every time you stutter, you open up. You get more vulnerable. You enjoy the feeling of vulnerability, because that's what leads to enjoyment in social interactions. Every time you stutter, you get closed off. No fucking shit, you're not going to enjoy the interactions. It's just impossible that way. You have to be vulnerable, and it's a fucking blessing that you have a stutter to do that to you. A lot of people don't have the ability to be vulnerable just by talking, but you have no choice to be if you allow it. If you say, okay, this is good, like I need to stutter to overcome my stutter. Vulnerability creates connection. Why don't I just fucking embrace it all be myself, express myself, don't hold back. The reason why you're not getting enjoyment from social interactions is not because you're a stutter. That's bullshit. That's clear as day. It's because you're not being truly authentic to you. You're not being vulnerable enough, so you're unable to feel that connection. Let's go get some fucking enjoyment. I love you. That was all in love. Peace.